Definitely not the starters. You're on the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Welcome in, 100.7 The Score. It is the End of the Bench. It is Tuesday. Hope you had a wonderful Labor Day yesterday. As we get back kicking around here on a Tuesday, we'll recap the weekend, and there is plenty to recap. I was trying to assess the assorted Big 12 games.
Say that 3 times.
I couldn't hardly say it once, Craig. So I was assessing the Big 12 games last night. I was trying to power rank everything, and I was like, well, it was yesterday afternoon. I was like, let's wait for the TCU game. I might move TCU up a spot or 2. I might move them up a spot or 3.
Yep.
Though North Carolina did not look good at all past the first drive. I am uncertain what to do with a few of these teams. I've already moved Utah up, and I already had them high, but some of that is I moved Kansas State down. Now, I don't know if Kansas State will figure out some things, but it feels like they have a lot to figure out. Though they did win that game against North Dakota by the just smallest of margins
like
there.
Last 45 seconds.
Last 45 seconds. And I think that speaks highly to Avery Johnson and what he is able to do and was able to do. But it does feel like they are, not just because of Matt Wells, but a lot of things I was complaining about during the Matt Wells era. It does feel like you're seeing at Kansas State right now. The lack of push on the offensive line, the kind of, I don't want to say the S word here, but not a lot of venom and vigor offensively there from Kansas State right now. So we'll have to see what they can do in the next couple of weeks. And then you also, I think, maybe have backed off Baylor a little bit. I think Auburn looked competent, which I was a little bit surprised by offensively.
Yeah, Jackson Arnold just wishes he could have played that well at OU. And I don't know if he's going to play that well all year round either.
He ran the ball well.
Yeah.
I told Collier, noted OU fan, that he just needed some good coaching there.
A different offense.
At Auburn, yeah.
I was and started with that game, and I started paying attention. I was shocked at how many quarterback draws, design quarterback runs that teams were running, and very successfully. I mean, they would show motion one way, and then Gus Malzahn made a night of it. I mean, it was I was surprised.
Some of those coaches I thought did really well doing that. Certainly Jackson Arnold is capable. I was screaming at the Notre Dame offensive coordinator because he thought Riley Leonard was still there. That kid is not Riley Leonard. Now, he can do some things that maybe Riley Leonard couldn't do. He had some really nice plays. That play where he kind of goes full Tony Romo and flips around a couple times in the backfield, takes some big U-turns back there, and finally finds a guy in the end zone. That was a really good play. But to continue to have Jordan Love and what's the other guy's name? Price? Jordan Love. Jeremiah Love. Jordan Love couldn't be a good
back. They wish they had Jordan Love.
Yeah, if they have Jeremiah Love and I think Price is his name, and then they're running quarterback power.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are we doing? What are you doing? Hand it off.
Yeah.
Hand it off. Just nationally, I think Miami might be good. So you might need to reassess some things there in the ACC as well. Florida State hammering Alabama. What does that mean? As you start to kind of formulate some overreactions potentially off just week 1. I don't know.
I don't either.
I didn't expect Alabama to be good. But I certainly didn't expect Florida State to go in there and just do what they did.
Just about every game, including last night, the losing team was not very good. I mean, there just weren't many close games. Even the K-State game, it shouldn't have been that close. But like last night, I thought North Carolina was outmanned. I didn't think their players were as good as TCU players, and it was not. They were not going to win. Their quarterback play, I just thought was not very good, and I go up and down the Big 12 schedule, and believe it or not, of all the bad teams, I thought Oklahoma State might have played one of the better bad teams, and they're bad. But Tennessee Martin, I mean, they had some flow. They had a decent defense, but at the same time, they weren't that good. And UCLA, how good is UCLA? I don't think we know yet. I'm going to think at the end of the year, not very good. But they've got some good players, but they sure didn't look very good.
There was early in the broadcast something about North Carolina having 2 NFL-graded players. They were kind of positioning that as a positive.
You better have more than 2. Yeah,
that's not a positive. Yeah. I think right now Texas Tech has the most in college football because they have the most at the East-West Shrine Bowl watch list, but they were closer to 20.
Yep.
Maybe over 20.
Yep.
You're sitting there trying to win with 2?
2?
I think everything that TCU did, we expected TCU to be able to do. I think maybe defensively they surprised me a little bit, but I don't think that North Carolina offense is going to be very good.
TCU, and again, my judgment is still out yet. It's pending, I'll put it that way. TCU's run game was pretty good.
And that's something they have not had in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think that really, really helped somebody like Hoover.
Yeah. All right, one more Big 12 team, and this was against Portland State. But I do wonder a little bit what to do with BYU. Because if Bear Bachmeier can, again, Portland State, but this is a true freshman in his first start. It was interesting. He scored 5 touchdowns. We'll see what he can do against a defense with a pulse. And then I had Texas Tech number 1, so I'm not going to move him. But we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks because I do think that we, even as overreactions, can make some kind of moves here as you start to try to whittle away and figure out some contenders here in the Big 12. Week 2 will help.
Yep. And, Kansas' 0-week win against Fresno, that's looking like a pretty good win.
Better than their win over
Wagner.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back. 100.7 The Score. It is the end of the bench. I think I've got my power rankings down pretty well, how I want them. In the past, we've done power ranking Thursdays. I believe we'll do power ranking Tuesdays this year. They're in the third hour. Of course, the second hour will focus much more on Texas Tech. They went over Arkansas Pine Bluff. A little bit weird that it's a Tuesday. We generally have turned the page now. We'll talk a little bit about Kent State, who broke their 22-game losing streak, 714 days, by returning a kickoff against D2 Merrimack to win 24-17. That line for Texas Tech, Kent State in the 40s. I think it's 48.5. We'll discuss that. We'll also talk Arkansas Pine Bluff, Barron Morton, and more in the second hour. Third hour, we'll do some power rankings. But I want to go through the rest of these Big 12 games from Week 1. Of course, we talked a few of these on Friday. Craig, your thoughts on UCF Jacksonville State 17-10, Oklahoma State UT Martin 27-7, Houston 27-0 versus Stephen F. Austin, and then that Nebraska loss. Cincinnati lost to Nebraska.
First of all, I'm going to give you credit. You're the one that had me hyped up about at least watching, and you pronounce his name, the quarterback for Oklahoma State from Aledo. I don't know how you pronounce his last name.
Hoss Haney. He looked really good until he got hurt.
Yes, he did. I was very impressed with the way he played. I liked the speed that he played with. I liked the way he controlled his offensive huddle, and I don't know how. I think I read where he's going to be out 5 weeks. And for their sake, they're not dropping off tremendously, but they are, in my opinion, they're definitely dropping off when they go and with that Zach Flores, is that his name? And but I was impressed with them. Also, not impressed with Cincinnati. I thought Cincinnati had a chance to really make a mark for the Big 12, and they just couldn't quite get it. Sorsby must have had a really good offensive line last year because he was running all game against Nebraska, and they didn't get the tight end play that they normally do, but I think because he didn't have time to throw it very much. But all in all, I was not really surprised at anything. K-State a little bit surprised me, but kind of interesting. Arizona playing Hawaii 40-7 or 40-9, something like that. And even though that was at Arizona and Hawaii's coming off a very emotional high, I thought Arizona was going to be really bad. So I wouldn't have been surprised if Hawaii beat them, but I'm not
40-6.
Yeah, 40-6, and I'm not reading a whole lot into it. But at home, they may be, somebody that you have to play good to beat.
Yeah, I thought they would at the very least struggle a little bit early with Hawaii. It was 17-6 at halftime, and then they just kind of ran away with it. Now the Hawaii quarterback hobbled a little bit at the end of that last game against Stanford. And you always know when Hawaii travels, they're much better at home. So traveling a little bit, I'm sure, has something to do with it as well. But I was a little bit surprised by Arizona. I did move them up 1 because I moved UCF back to 16. Friday night, we had Auburn-Baylor.
Yeah.
Frustrated with Baylor's performance. Sawyer Robertson is going to end up looking all right, 419 yards, 3 touchdowns. But I didn't feel like offensively he was consistent enough, even though he had all those yards and quality. But it was the defense of Baylor that was really frustrating. If I was a Bears fan and I was watching that defense against that offense, I would be pretty frustrated as far as a week 1 goes.
And as disappointed as I was in Baylor, I don't think Auburn's very good. I mean, I think
they were running pretty simple stuff. And they were just being successful.
And I think
a couple of penalties in there.
Yeah, when it comes SEC time, I'm not real sure that they'll finish in the top half. But I don't know. It surprised me. I think Baylor's ineptitude to play defense, because I thought it would be that way. I thought they'd play really good defense, but their offense might sputter some. But Auburn certainly looked like they knew what they were doing against that defense.
Then you had Georgia Tech, Colorado. Georgia Tech played probably the worst first quarter they could have imagined. And by their 4th or 5th drive, they're driving to tie it up. It's like...
Yep.
I mean, you had 3 turnovers on your first 3 drives. Georgia Tech should not have been in that game. Colorado should have put a little space, some distance. They just couldn't do it. And then Haynes King was just a master.
Yep.
There late, especially on that final touchdown. He had 19 carries for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns as a quarterback. Also threw it around a little bit. Really, really, really bad start for Georgia Tech, and Colorado couldn't take advantage. I think if you're looking around the Big 12, just in these Power 5 games, Power 4 games, and you're trying to say, all right, who's going to match up?
Yeah.
Who's going to be able to play quality football in the Big 12? I don't know that you see Colorado as one of those teams right now.
I totally agree. I will tell you this, though, and I was waiting to pass judgment until I saw North Carolina last night. I think Colorado played the best opponent in the conference this week. They had the best team to play against of anybody in the Big 12. Agree? Disagree?
I think Auburn's probably a little better than you think they are, but yeah, I would say Haynes King and Georgia Tech are top 2 for sure.
Yeah.
I think Nebraska's up there still. But those 3 teams are much better than what most faced. Yeah. I agree.
Georgia Tech's a good football team. They withstood 3 turnovers in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yes.
And and to give them some credit, Colorado may be a little bit better than what I thought. I thought they would fall apart this year. I just thought they'd be average at best, but they've got a chance to have a pretty good team.
I think they'll be competitive.
Yep, I do too.
I think they'll be competitive.
I do too.
But I don't think that they will be competitive in a way. Like, they might beat a team or two they shouldn't, Colorado. But I don't think they'll be in a competitive, like, Big 12 championship stake in the final 4 weeks.
As much as I agree with you that they're going to beat somebody they're not supposed to, I also think they're going to lose somebody they're not supposed to.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's Colorado right there for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Utah's probably the only team that we haven't talked about really in depth yet that played a good team. I think West Virginia is another school we haven't mentioned. They beat, Robert Morris 45-3. They looked like they should.
We need a Robert Morris opinion here, Lucas. You're the only one that knows anything about Robert Morris. Bob Morris, as they're called affectionately.
That was a good win for West Virginia. The Rich Rod era has begun, and I'm excited to see how the rest of the season goes.
Okay.
So as it kind of goes around or goes down, for West Virginia, it's take one game at a time, take one win when you can.
Yep.
All right, we'll check some holidays and whatnot on the other side. I also have some Utah thoughts. Being the Utah guy, I want to talk about Devin Dampier a lot, or a little bit, not a lot. And we'll hit Texas Tech Pine Bluff in the second hour. We'll also check in on the chat line. You can get on the chat line, the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can also call in, 806-771-0973 on the Visual Edge IT hotline. We are in the First United Bank studio. We'll be back after this.
Definitely not the starters. You're on the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back. 100.7 The Score. It is the End of the Bench. Couple of comments rolling on the chat line. Who was on the tiny wheel after week 1? A couple of asks. It is me. I'm on the tiny wheel. The issue I have, no excuses. The issue is I have in these kind of things is I hate, where most people don't, I hate picking the same games as everyone else. And so there were 2 times where I was like, I don't want to pick this team, but everyone else is picking the other one, so I'll be different here. And it got me twice.
Which 2?
And that was the difference. You could check the tape. But going back, I picked Colorado because the first 2 teams picked Georgia Tech, and then Sam Houston, UNLV. I didn't want to pick that game, but I did. So I picked Sam Houston. So I went 4-6, no excuse. bad weekend for me. I will spin the wheel tomorrow and complete that punishment within the week. I will tell you, I have put together the tiny wheel. Let me read a few of them to you here, Craig. I think you'll like these. Well, these are not. Hold on, these are old ones. All right, I'm not going to read them to you right now, but I will eventually. I have the screenshot. Oh, here it is. All right. We're going to do the McIntyre sunscreen. That is the Rob McIntyre golfer during a show.
All over your face?
All over the face.
Yeah, okay.
To wear a face full of sunscreen for a show. The book report on A.J. Brown's book from the playoffs last year. We're going to go a movie review that Collier picks the movie.
Okay. Do you have to go see it, or
you have to see it and review it? Either it's probably going to be an old streaming movie.
Okay.
Collier will pick a bad movie,
and it's not fair to get the Google version or
no, I won't
Chat
do
GPT
version.
I want
Cliff Notes, and I'll watch it.
Yeah, and also for A.J. Brown's book, don't be getting the Cliff Notes on A.J. Brown's book.
I've actually got the audiobook.
There
already.
you go. There you go.
So I'll have to listen to that one. Which doesn't seem bad, but that's like a 12-hour listen. So it's going to be 12 hours of things I have to do that didn't normally would have to do. There's one called Your Mom. So if you roll that one, your mom will have to make your picks next week. So that could be, of course, she probably wouldn't do worse than 4 and 6. Post a video praising, no context, praising a team, player, or broadcaster of the other two's choice. I would assume I'd have to do a Brando thing there. Then banned words. So we'll come up with a list of banned words that you can't say for 3 hours. If you say them, you have to spin again. So those words will be like, and, either, win, loss, those kind of banned words for a sports show. And then you would have to double down and spin again if you can't complete it. So those are some of the offerings this year. And, of course, we'll add and subtract as we move along.
Are we going to have a meet and greet with Mr. Brando when he shows up in Lubbock with Rob Breaux and Tim Brando?
He'll be here for Oregon State.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. If he walks by the pregame show, maybe we can get him on or something.
So maybe we should make that happen.
No, I don't think
we need to make it happen. It can't be just random happening. We need to make it happen.
Well, if I lose again, maybe we can put that on the tiny wheel. Lunch with Brando.
Yeah.
All right, let's check some calendars here.
Your daily look at what's happening in the world of sports, birthdays, and holidays. Let's check the calendar.
Not a lot of great days today as we move through. It's Telephone Tuesday. Let's go make a phone call. It's a rotary phone here. It's actually a fake rotary phone. There's real buttons, but it makes it look like a rotary phone.
You ever used a payphone?
No. I am familiar with payphones.
Yeah, but you've never used one?
I don't think I've ever needed to actually use. I probably like just for fun.
Yeah.
But I've never needed to use a payphone, no.
Lucas, ever used a payphone?
What's a payphone? No, I'm just kidding.
Good answer. Good answer.
I have not. But I've seen them around. There were a couple here in Lubbock that I've seen, but they're very few and far between nowadays.
Yeah, so. Most of them are antique decorations in somebody's restaurant or house now.
It's National Live Fearless Day. National Pierce Your Ears Day. Anybody ever had a ear piercing?
My friend pierced my ears in his bathroom when I was in high school.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Your friend pierced your ears?
When we were juniors in high school.
And how did he go about doing this?
We got one of those piercing guns, I guess.
Really?
And cleaned it with the the wipes, and then just said, "Here, sit on the countertop and I'll pierce your ears." It was my idea.
Did you put the diamond studs in once you got it pierced? Yeah.
Yeah. It lasted probably about until I got home and my mama saw, and she was not too thrilled about that. So
I had my ears pierced in college.
Really?
Huh?
Both?
And, yeah. We had to re-pierce them a couple times. Like, the left one is still good to go. The right one is closed up.
Well, I'm happy for you guys.
It's in style back in 2008.
Yep, I'm happy for you. Put a hole in your ear. That's one of those things that's on that tiny wheel. Put a hole in your ear.
Yeah. When we had to redo it because I let them close, it was just a safety pin and a paper plate. Paper plate so they didn't stab me in the neck.
I can't get there. I'm sorry, I just can't get there.
It's also World Coconut Day.
I'm all about coconut.
More than ear piercings?
Hey, much more than ear piercing.
All right, any birthdays, Lucas?
we have a few birthdays. We have Eric Dickerson turning 65 years old today. We have Terry Bradshaw turning 77. Brian Westbrook turning 46. Brandon Ingram turning 28. Mr. Keanu Reeves turning 61. Harmon 74. And comedian Cat Williams turning 54.
Keanu Reeves is in really good shape for 61.
Yes.
Really good shape. All right, and this day, 1960, Wilma Rudolph, a 100-meter gold medal winner, and she actually won 3 gold medals in the Rome Olympics. 1966, Miami, the Dolphins, played their very first NFL regular season game versus Oakland. 26,000 fans were in attendance. 1971, those teenage stars, Jimmy Connors and Chris Everett, played in their very first U.S. Open as we enter into the week of the finals of the U.S. Open tennis. And Texas Tech lore, Cliff Kingsbury threw for a school record 450 yards and 3 touchdowns and ran for another one, leading Texas Tech to a 38-16 win over Utah State. Those Aggies from Utah State.
Was Matt Wells, is that the year he was like a backup safety or something coming down here?
Could have been.
He's quarterback early, and then, or maybe he was a GA or something. I think 2000 he was involved in that game.
Yeah.
To figure that out. No, maybe not. He's a little older than that. All right, we will.
450 yards. That's a lot of yards.
Yeah, that's a lot of yards, especially at that time.
Yep.
We'll come back and do some more. We'll talk Arkansas Pine Bluff when we return. A couple of chats, questions, comments on Pine Bluff and the game. It's also Trent Langford's birthday. Shout out to Trent in No Dry County. More after this. It's the end of the bench.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back. It's 10:30 on a Tuesday. 100.7 The Score. It's the End of the Bench. In the Devin Dampier Nico Imaleva battle, Devin Dampier was much, much, much better. That is Utah UCLA. Man, it feels like Tennessee dodged a bullet, with that family and the quarterback. It looks like they improved. And Utah, it looks like they got a pretty good one. And Devin Dampier is 21 of 25, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had 87 yards rushing and a touchdown, a long of 16. But what interested me about Utah was, I believe it was Bird Ficklin and Smith Snowden. 2 interesting names, by the way. they're both defenders, especially Smith Snowden is one of their starting defensive backs, but he's also going to be in the rotation at receiver and get rushes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Utah right now they've got maybe a 4A high school feel, where your best players are going to be playing both ways a little bit. Maybe a 5A feel, not quite 4A where everybody's playing both ways. Maybe a 5A, 6A where, hey, if you're really good, you're going to play both ways. So we'll see how that goes for Utah long term. I thought they had a really good win against UCLA, offensively and defensively. Let me just read you some of these touchdown drives. 11 plays, 75 yards, 4 minutes. 10 plays, 60 yards, 5 minutes, 10 seconds. Then they had a couple quick ones, a 5-play, 2-minute, 12-second. Then they punted. They kicked a field goal to open the third. And then here's the 3 drives in the second half. 21 plays, 80 yards, 9 minutes, 44 seconds. They follow that with a 10-play, 81-yard, 4.5-minute drive. And finally, after an interception, a 4-play, 29-yard, 2.5-minute drive. They had back-to-back drives in the second half that were 31 plays, 160 yards, and a full quarter.
You know what that signals to me? Their offensive line is living up to the hype.
Yeah.
How many yards rushing did the quarterback have?
87. But total, they had 286.
Yeah, their offensive line, they were touted to be good going in, and I think they're living up to what the expectations are, at least against UCLA.
At least against UCLA. And I will reserve judgment for a bunch of these Big 12 teams, but so far I think I'm right on Utah.
Worst team a Big 12 team played against?
I mean, it had to be Portland State or Pine Bluff.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah, I'm thinking Portland State.
They were both bad.
Yep. Best team a Big 12 team played against?
Hard to not say Auburn. I think Auburn and Georgia Tech and Nebraska were the top 3 for sure. If you're twisting my arm here and making me pick one, I think I would say Auburn.
Who will be the best at the end of the year?
Of the opponents?
Yeah.
Record-wise?
Yeah.
Georgia Tech.
Okay.
But they play in the ACC, and the other two are in the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Georgia Tech. I think, otherwise, you had a bunch of opportunities to win, let's call them. Portland State, Hawaii really isn't very good. I think Stanford maybe got exposed more than Hawaii did this weekend. Robert Morris, South Dakota was not very good. Hey, maybe North Dakota's a team that can compete in the FCS. Northern Arizona, I didn't think was good at all, and they were competitive for stretches against Arizona State.
That was probably one of my biggest surprises is Northern Arizona staying in the game, not really having a chance to win, but were a lot more competitive than I think people gave them credit for going in. And, of course, you got to figure in that's Arizona little school against Arizona big guy, and they had some motivation, I'm sure. Yeah,
similar to ACU last year. All right, do you have a burning question? Was that your burning question?
Nope, I do have a burning question.
Let's do it.
A little tech trivia to go with it.
Okay.
2 minutes of non-stop in-your-face inquiries with no end in sight. It's time for Burning Questions.
In a game like Pine Bluff, when do you take your starting quarterback out?
Last drive of the second half. No, I would have sent him back out in the third for one drive, And then I would have turned it over to Will Hammond. So you maybe miss a couple of plays there from Baron Morton. But with the rain delay, with the lightning delay, I think you probably would have done it the same way. I don't think you bring Baron Morton out after a long delay. But generally, everything goes normal. You might have brought Baron Morton out in the second half. Obviously not after the injury scare, but I think you pretty much did it exactly how you wanted to.
In relation to that, when do you stop trying to score points as much as you can?
Never.
Okay.
There was a line in the recap where Max talking to Will Hammond. He said, "We're not running the ball, we're running our offense."
Yeah.
And if that means running the ball, if it means throwing the ball, we're going to run the offense. And you have to be prepared.
That's what I was alluding to is with that statement.
You have to be prepared in college football. And if Arkansas Pine Bluff gets their feelings hurt because you score 77 or 67 or 57, that's on Pine Bluff.
Yeah.
You're paying them a lot of money to be here. It's a glorified practice. Run your offense.
That being said, knowing the kind of game that we had and who we were playing against, Mark Stoops thinks, the coach at Kentucky, that every team ought to be allowed to have a scrimmage against another team prior to the season starting. Yay or nay?
Yay. I'm in. I have long since tried to be in the camp of practicing with another school in the spring. I think as every year goes by, it gets tougher logistically because of the transfer portal. And if you're, let's say you're New Mexico State or ACU or West Texas A&M, whoever it is, and you come and practice at Texas Tech, and then right after you practice, there's a transfer portal window.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you be a little worried that Texas Tech's going to pluck your 3 best players?
No doubt.
Or if you're ACU, wouldn't you be worried that Texas Tech, or if you're Texas Tech, you might be worried that ACU is going to pluck your bottom 3 players or your bottom 10 players? It's like, hey, you were running with the 3s there. You're better than a 3. You wanna come here?
And I'll correlate that to NCAA basketball preseason schedules and some of the teams they play, and some guy goes off for 30 against you, and you think, well, this guy is pretty good, and you go through the handshake line at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
You see those coaches
I'll be
whispering, sweet
have your guy call my guy.
So but if you do it in the fall, maybe there is an opportunity. Now I do think again there's logistics, and the TV money is going to have to be in there somehow. But I don't know. I think there's an opportunity to figure something out in that respect.
One last question. Mm-hmm. Tech trivia. Who has, other than Jack Burgess, who is in Australia, who has the furthest to go when they go home?
Oh, on this roster?
Yep. Do you have an answer in there? I do.
No, I mean in the booth.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, you do. You have an answer.
There's a guy from Virginia.
You have an answer.
Is it Mitch?
Yeah.
I'll be in that town in 10 days. The exact same town.
Mitch Griffiths.
How far? You know?
1,700
miles.
Okay, 17.
Yeah. There's a lot of Florida kids around that 13, 15, but Ashton, Virginia.
There we go. More after this. 100.7 The Score. It's the end of the bench.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back. 100.7 The Score. We set the line at 12 and a half of Big 12 wins over the weekend. And the Big 12, by my count, went 13-3 with losses to Auburn, Nebraska, and Georgia Tech, and wins against everyone else.
Which hurt the conference, I think.
Yeah, those were 3 big ones to lose.
Yep. Yeah, you needed to win some of those simply to help the conference. But we still got a bunch of football left. So
yeah, you went 2-3 against Power 5 opponents, Power 4 opponents. All right. We'll have to assess next week as we get there, but the Big 12 power rankings look like this. The bottom 4, I've moved UCF into the 16th position. I've moved up Arizona to the 15th. The next 2 are still the same. 14, West Virginia. 13, Oklahoma State. The next 4, Houston at 12, Colorado 11, Cincinnati at 10. And I've moved Kansas State all the way down to 9. The next 4 all moving up at least 1. I have TCU hopping BYU. So 8 BYU, 7 TCU, 6 Kansas, 5 Arizona State. Baylor I had at 2. They're at 4 now. Utah 3, Iowa State 2, and Texas Tech was my preseason number 1. And they will not move off that post. So the top 8 again from 1, Texas Tech, Iowa State, Utah, Baylor, Arizona State, Kansas, TCU, BYU. I'm trying hard not to overreact to Baylor playing Auburn. I think they played one of, if not the toughest opponents. I probably would have moved Cincinnati up. I thought they played really good against Nebraska in stretches. But that interception at the end and Sorsby getting 69 passing yards, it was just tough for me to move them anywhere. And then if Colorado had played a little better down the stretch, I probably would have moved them over Cincinnati and maybe potentially Kansas State. But they also lost. So,
well, in honor of this past weekend, not so fast, my friend.
Okay, all right.
Utah played the best team that anybody played on week 1 and dominated them. So I'm going to move them into 1 spot.
Okay.
But 1A, Texas Tech, for 2 reasons. 1, they lived up to the hype. And 2, something we don't always do, and that's what we were supposed to do. And so I'm going to put them at 1A. Number 2 and 3, simply because they've played 2 games and are undefeated, Kansas and Iowa State. Iowa State 2, Kansas 3. Number 4, because they were so ranked so low, but they won their first game against a legitimate team, not great, but a legitimate team. I'm going to put Arizona. Number 5, BYU took care of business with a freshman quarterback against a very weak team. Number 7, Oklahoma State. They beat what I considered of the FCS schools the best one, University of Tennessee Martin. They beat a pretty good team with a brand new quarterback that's pretty good, I think, but he's hurt and he's out. So Oklahoma State's destined for another position lower next week probably. Also, they play Oregon. Number 8, Cincinnati. They had a good game versus a Big Team 10 that I think will probably not finish in the top half of the Big Ten. I just didn't see it from Nebraska. Number 9, West Virginia. They beat an FCS team, but they had a new coach and a bunch of new players, and they came out and they did what they were supposed to. Number 11, Baylor. The second best team with the second best loss at any time. I just at home, and they lost to a really good team. But I thought going in they could have been one of the top 2 or 3 teams. Number 12, Houston. The battle of the Texas teams. Sometimes teams don't play very good against Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah, who was that?
So they did, and so I'm going to give them the 12 spot. UCF, Scott Frost, he just happens to pick up right where he left off. They'll be undefeated in the regular season, 13-0, and move right along. Not. And the last one, K-State, I don't think they played real good against Iowa State in Dublin, and then I don't think they played real good against North Dakota. So until they show me otherwise, they may not be a top 5-6 team. I think they were going to be. I thought they should be, but not yet. So I'm on the same page as a lot of yours. I'm not going to say that you're wrong, but week 2 will probably change both of them.
Yeah, I've kind of got the season-long power rankings going, and yours was a weekly power rankings. The biggest victory over a Power 4 opponent certainly was Utah. I don't know that UCLA is any good.
Yeah,
but certainly the biggest win over one of those opponents. I'd like to see UCLA, maybe a North Carolina UCLA game to see what happens there. But TCU is another team that just dominated a Power 4 school. I
forgot I didn't put in TCU.
When you made those before the TCU.
Yeah, but I'll put in TCU. I'll put them in the third, right above the two win teams, Kansas and Iowa State. I'll put TCU right there based on what I saw last night.
Kansas, just looking at the schedule and seeing who I think could change or fall next week, BYU should hammer Stanford.
Yes.
So I think BYU has a chance.
Yeah.
BYU has a chance to move up. Arizona State, Mississippi State's an interesting game to me. In Starkville, I think Mississippi State has a chance there. And that would be a huge win for them, especially if Arizona State's number 10. There's something about that number 10 ranking. It feels different than 11.
Of all the things I think Arizona State should be concerned with, Northern Arizona scored on them. Mississippi State can score, and they can score quick. I'm not real sure that Arizona State's not a little concerned about their defense.
Yeah. Baylor has to play SMU at SMU. That could be an interesting game.
Could they lose that, you think?
Yeah. Could. Yeah. Could they? For sure. Will they? I had them losing preseason to SMU.
Yeah.
I thought they would lose to one of Auburn or SMU. I had them winning the home game. So certainly they could lose that game. Houston, Rice is an interesting game. Rice won over the weekend.
Yes.
They beat Louisiana. So we'll see what Rice can do against Houston. And then Missouri, Kansas. If Kansas goes out and hammers Missouri, they could be top
They're
4.
moving. They're moving up.
They could be top 4 in my Big 12 power rankings.
Yep.
Oklahoma State could certainly have an opportunity against Oregon. Army just lost to Tarleton. If Kansas State struggles again, this time to Army, they could move down even further. I don't think Texas Tech or Utah have much of a chance to. Obviously, Texas Tech can't move up any, but Kent State and Cal Poly don't move the needle much for me.
Yep.
And then Iowa State, Iowa. Hey, if Iowa State hammers Iowa, I think they would jump.
Yep.
They would jump Texas Tech.
Yep.
In my power rankings.
Utah,
so they certainly have an opportunity to move.
Utah can go down in my book real easy, and I think Iowa State can go up real easy.
All right, Ask the Benchwarmers on the other side. 100.7 The Score. It's the end of the bench.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back. 100.7 The Score. It's the end of the bench. Time for Ask the Benchwarmers. One final segment here before we turn it over to the bottom line. This texter says Tech special teams is suspect. I think if you were trying to find a suspect out of the Texas Tech game, you certainly would point to the special teams. Missed an extra point.
Right.
Shouldn't do. Made a couple field goals.
Right.
I thought your kickoffs were fine.
They were really good.
But there were 2 return penalties.
Yeah.
And McGuire in the postgame said that was lazy blocking there.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think if there was something to point out and say offense, defense, special teams, which was the worst, yeah, probably be special teams. I don't think there's any argument there.
Yep.
Kamo says, I don't think Kansas needs to hammer Missouri. Missouri's a solid team. Kansas beats them. It will open some eyes, and you have to consider that possibility. Our toughest home game upcoming. Well, Kamo, those were for my personal power rankings. And so if I say that they need to hammer them to move them up, that's what I feel personally. So you're not going to convince me otherwise on that one. I think certainly in the landscape of college football or the Big 12, you just have to beat Missouri, sure. But if I'm looking at my power rankings that I'm putting my name on, and I'm looking at Arizona State, even a Baylor, Utah, Iowa State, Texas Tech in front of Kansas, yeah, I think they need to do something big. If Arizona State also beats Mississippi State and Baylor also beats SMU and Utah does what they need to do against Cal Poly and Iowa State beats Iowa and Texas Tech does what they need to do against Kent State, no, I'm not moving. Even if Kansas just beats Missouri, I'm not moving them up in front of anybody that's in front of them. If they hammer Missouri, I might say, wow, well, Arizona State barely beat Mississippi State. Maybe Kansas is above them.
Right.
Baylor lost to Auburn and struggled with SMU. They beat them, but, hey, maybe Kansas is up to 4 if they hammer Missouri.
If Kansas is going to take advantage of a Missouri win, if they should win, something else has got to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, something's got to happen for them to – I mean, if everybody above them does what they're supposed to do.
Right. I'm not moving them up at all.
Yeah.
But if they win by 21, I think it doesn't matter what Arizona State does or Baylor does if they just barely win. So I think Iowa State certainly has the opportunity to be number 1 next week. I think Baylor has the opportunity to be 6th next week. TCU on a bye. A weird bye, honestly. And then BYU, another opportunity with Stanford. I don't know that Stanford's any good at all. But if they take care of business against Stanford and beat them by 30 or 40, maybe you do see the opportunity there as well. But I would assume my power rankings will see less movement next week than they did this week. Kamo says, fair enough, Rob. Didn't realize from your personal PR. This guy says, Rob is the judge, jury, and executioner. I certainly am on my power rankings. But I would let anybody else create their own power rankings and decide if Kansas needs to beat Missouri by 20 or not.
Judge and the jury.
But yeah, if I'm going to put my name on it and tweet it from my account, it's going to be my opinion.
Yeah.
That's how it works. This texter says Auburn would be at least a 10-point favorite over UCLA neutral site. Getting some pushback on your best team.
I don't know. I'm not.
You didn't think Auburn looked very good. You think Baylor just looked worse.
Right. I do. I really do. I think Auburn's good, but like I said, I don't think they'll finish in the top half of the SEC. If they do, it's right at top 50%.
We got an update on Cameron Washington, Mr. B's cousin. Texas State won 52-27 over Eastern Michigan. Cameron didn't record any tackles, but had some good quarterback pressures and almost had a sack in the red zone.
Oh, big game for Texas State.
Huge game. Texas State UTSA this weekend.
UTSA in the game against A&M. What's that mean? They ended up getting beat, 20 plus, but they were there for a while.
They certainly hung with them.
Yeah.
That running back looked pretty good there for UTSA. Henry, I think. Henry Jr.?
Yep.
Have to learn all these new names this year. Bobby Hot Dog says, go Missouri, pluck those stupid blue chickens. Across college athletics, you see a lot of conference people, conference fans, certainly in the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yep.
You don't really have that in the Big 12.
No, you don't. You don't.
And I don't know that we need it, per se. I was certainly rooting for my interest this weekend. I really wanted Baylor to beat Auburn.
Yep.
And I picked TCU to beat North Carolina. So not in the tiny wheel, but in my preseason pick. So I was rooting for TCU in that respect. But even as the game got going, just how it opened and how ESPN was talking about Bill Belichick as football god coming to save college football and all this bull crap.
And you never heard much about TCU.
I was really, really rooting for the shield of the Big 12, the logo last night.
You know where, and I'd be interested in your opinion about this. One thing that I found real strange, in basketball, the Big 12 fans are rabid Big 12 fans. I mean, they protect their fans in basketball. We haven't gotten there yet in football, and I don't know why.
No.
I don't know why. I'd like to see it. I think it's healthy. Am I jealous of the SEC fans and the way they SEC? Yes. Do I like the SEC fans? No. But
right.
I like what they do and the way they pull for each other, supposedly.
I think if you told me today and you could guarantee that this was the Big 12 for the next 20 years, I might buy in a little more.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so for now, all I care about is Texas Tech's interest.
Yeah, and you're right. That's had a lot to do with it.
This texter says, Rob, I was totally joking. While I disagree, it was all in fun. I don't think Tech has earned one until they prove they can go on the road and beat Utah. Yeah, I knew you were joking. I was joking back. Certainly. But my issue is, and I almost put Iowa State 1 this week.
Yeah.
They're 2-0. They are 1-0 in the Big 12. Totally makes sense. Not prepared to move Utah up any further. If Iowa State beats Iowa, they certainly will be number 1 next week. But I picked Texas Tech to win the Big 12. That's why they're 1 currently. So, is Adam Hill Texas Tech's version of Carson Hansen? The people are saying that's from South Texas Ambassador Preston. Hey, if you can get Adam Hill to a position this season where you can run Cam Dickey and you can run Jacoby Williams 15, 20 times a piece in the first, 45 minutes of the game time, and Adam Hill's a guy that can just come in and wear people down in the fourth quarter as a fresh pair of legs, that would be awesome. I think right now, though, it's just going to be the duo in big spots.
I tell you where I like him. Late in the game, 3rd and 3, we're going to fake to him and roll out and pass. And he's going to make the block that allows Baron Morton to do something special.
And Terrence Carter's going to be 4 yards across the line of scrimmage there on the flat.
Yep.
Or John Carlos Miller.
Yep.
All right, that's it for us. It was a Tuesday. We'll have a Wednesday tomorrow. I'll spin the tiny wheel. What a loser. And we had some comments on the punishments. We'll talk about those tomorrow as well. That's it for us. For myself, Craig, Lucas, Sutton.
Have a great Tuesday.
We'll be back tomorrow.
This has been the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score. Go to 107thescore.com for more from the Double T Sports Network.